Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could teach the gullible to never be so comfortable with lies they eat like comfort food? To disregard the bogus claims and pseudoscientific claims. Can you imagine just how much indeed the world would change? No more political predators playing on the populace with ilkes and plots to shift and kill metropolis. No more villains with the title in the Bible holding phony temper Bibles like the stuff they teach is vital. Imagine it was normal to have to prove a claim you make. And folks really feel ashamed expressing content that was fake. It's not to say we never make mistakes. It's just to say we go out of our way to show the evidence it takes.
Remain skeptical while you travel the road. The reason stay strapped with logic and facts. That's what it is, yo. Keep reality intact to help the truth grow. Question every claim, especially the ones you believe in. Remain skeptical while you travel the road. The reason.
Hi-ho! I'm Paul Sheehan.
And I'm Tiffany Harding. Sorry for stepping in.
No, that's right. Just talk all over me. That's fine. Whatever. So in either case, we're going to spend the first 12 minutes of the show talking about the fact that Road to Reason is going to be switching gears. The end of December will be the end of our public access show. We'll miss you, but we're going to start doing Google Hangouts, and we're going to be re-airing them on YouTube. I'll take a few minutes to talk about the reasons of why we're doing this and what we're hoping to gain, as well as how the show got started and why we did it, why we tortured ourselves for so long.
And we're going to do one of those fancy clip shows.
Yeah, we're going to have snippets. I would like to do one show in January, our final goodbye show, where we probably just have a green screen behind us, but we'll try to do a wide shot, have as many people in here as we can, do pass the mic, that kind of thing. But the primary reason we did the show was when I used to have a radio program here. We did a debate between Ray Comfort and Aaron Ra.
Whoa, boy.
And it was the highest viewed radio program in the station's history.
Can't view radio programs.
Well, you can when you monitor the web stream.
But
and so that's how they actually figured that out. It actually crashed the servers here at the station. It was that many people watching. So I got this idea that we would do a atheist program here. And we've met with some limited success over the years. We've had some great guests. We've had Richard Dawkins in studio. We've had Lawrence Krauss come on our show. We've had just about every major atheist that you can think of on our show. Dave Silverman, president of American Atheists, et cetera, et cetera. But the underlying goal was to make people in our local community better speakers for the atheist community. To give us a sense of a community organizing and bring people together, but also that people could walk away from this show and do their own multimedia stuff.
Right.
And so I know you're going to be doing a show.
I'm doing a show.
So tell me about that.
No, I'm going to start my own podcast.
Okay.
And I would also be filming it and putting it on YouTube. Cool. So and it's just me, and then whatever guests I can get, you're welcome. Anytime you'd like to join me, you can come. But
I'm not going on such a peon show as that.
No, I've actually been doing podcasts, and whenever I do a guest, I always say, check me out on Road to Reason, and this is where I got my start. So I think me getting into media was thanks to you, Paul.
Tell everybody to put an effort into this. Thank you. And I know Rob Penzak has got his thing going. David Tamayo, I think, is mentioning he's going to do something. Mm-hmm. Larry Mendoza is now the president of Beltway Atheist, et cetera, in this area. He's really stepped up since Rick Wingrove is kind of retired.
Yeah, well-earned retirement.
So I'm not going to put on a flight suit and strut around the deck of an aircraft carrier with a sign that says "Mission Accomplished" behind me, because the mission is always ongoing. And
he knows he wants to strut around in a flight suit.
Yeah, it's got to be a little undersized. See my man boobs and my big belly. But
just in time for Christmas. Okay, go ahead.
Christmas, yeah. So so we've met this goal. We've also seen a decline in viewership, which is unfortunate. We've had a harder time getting regular hosts on, so it's been a struggle. To be fair, this show wouldn't have made it this long if it wasn't for Rob Penzak, who has done a lot of the scheduling. He's reached out to people. For viewers of the show, I know Rob's going through a difficult time right now. His dad's in the hospital, is fairly ill. So shout out to Rob and his family. Hope you all are doing well. We love you, care about you, and hope you all are, you're in our thoughts. Even though we don't pray, we do think about people.
No, we are,
So it's a little bit sad, but on the other side, we're going to take the show in a different direction. And the direction we're taking it is, we're going to be doing Google Hangouts, and then we'll be, as I said, putting them on YouTube. And I think there's going to be some advantages to that. And one of the primary advantages to this is, I believe Google Hangouts has a chat section. People tend to chat more than they tend to phone call in to places.
You can come yell at us all you want.
Yeah.
All caps.
All caps.
And then
all caps all the time.
There could be more than just 2 hosts on.
It can be more than 2 hosts.
A guest anywhere.
And for instance, it'll be Road to Reason, like we talked earlier. It'll be like Tiffany Harding's Crazy Corner or something like that. Or it could be,
Why does it have to be Crazy Corner?
Dr. Penzak's Prozac or something like that. It's like, each host can have their own little show. It's like, it'll be more like, Road to Reason will be more of a channel. Like, there's like RT, and then they have, like the Empire Files, or, Speaking with Jesse Ventura or whatever, So each person will have their own program within that. And like, I know Stephanie says she wants to do like 10 or 15 minute episodes. I know that I stand corrected. Empire's Files is Telesur.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. So the idea here is that each host will start to actually, and this will take us, I guess, to another stage, is here everybody has come and they've had to work with this format. Now they're going to be able to perfect their own formats.
We'll probably be able to swear.
Yeah, and we can swear.
Do you want to put the priorities out front?
I'm going to become like one of those, like, you have those guys that are those like overweight neckbeards that like don't wear shirts during their productions.
You're going to put your shirt on.
And you can see all of my what do you call it? Eczema or whatever.
No. You're going to keep your shirt on.
My psoriasis.
Well, psoriasis. He's going to, like I said, I think this format will make it a lot.
No, I have psoriasis.
I think this format will make it a lot more personable and a lot more diverse all at the same time. You're going to be able to say what you want. We're not going to be bogged down by broadcast rules and things like that. And we can make the shows as long or as short as we want. And it's not like it's a stepping stone to a new era.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And it won't have a regular schedule. So that's another thing that we've run into a problem with content-wise, which is sometimes we'll have a guest scheduled next week and the one a week later and then another one down the road. So we'll be like 3 shows ahead with scheduling, and something happens in the news today and we can't really do a show about it because somebody has like cleared their schedule to be on our show, 2 weeks from now. We can't bump them because it's taken them months to set their schedule to come on our program. Yeah. Well, with the Hangouts version, we can in short order get somebody to come on, and tackle an issue right away.
Absolutely.
So I think I personally, I think we're going to have greater latitude to talk about things too. I think the disclaimer of the show will still be that not all opinions are reflective of other co-hosts. I want to have on a guy by the name of John Lott Jr., who is a specialist who debunks a lot of gun control arguments. I know a lot of atheist community that I've run into are very pro-gun control, but this guy does it with science and stuff. And I would welcome on a show like that for people to call in and challenge him and challenge me. But I think if we had that kind of program on now, it doesn't really fit into the narrative of our approved programming. It still would be in the basis of skepticism and science and things like that, but it just seems a little too awkward for a program that is really based around religion, atheism, etc.
You'd be like, that's like your opinion, man.
That's like your opinion, man, or whatever. It says the Lebowski.
But no, I could see when I saw you first bring up this new format, I was excited. That's all.
Yeah, so you were just excited because I said we could do the show without our pants. We could sit in our underwear at home and nobody would know.
You don't think I don't do that already? Come on.
I have no idea, and I'm not sure I want to know, but that's okay.
Let's put it this way. I think people are a lot more comfortable when you're comfortable and you can talk about whatever you want and just let it out and just be yourself.
Let it out, huh? Okay.
Well, no, not literally. I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes. Go ahead.
And for people like Rob and Larry, man, they drive all the way from Richmond to do this show.
Yeah, that's another thing.
It shows a huge commitment on their end, but I'd rather have that commitment channeled into something that's more productive, like getting ready for content and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think you also get a bigger splice of who people really are like on the show instead of the reserved nature that everyone has to have. Like Tiffany over here swears like a drunken sailor, so you'd see her in her infamous glory.
I don't have to do anything. Jeez. Look, when we get back, we've talked more about
what's going on in the news with the world of skepticism, atheism, religion, quackery, politics. We're going to learn how an entire animal shelter was blessed and saved. Those pets are going to heaven after the break.
Admit I had a serious disease. Because of my diabetes, I lost the sight in my left eye. Misconceptions continue to surround this monster public health issue. But the simple truth is, diabetes can often be prevented and complications avoided. You're not alone. Understand the realities of diabetes and know that you can manage it and lead a full, active life.
There's an alarming trend in the world today. Everywhere you go, people are saying that cinema is dead. But cinema is not dead. My name is Count Simon Gauntley, and on my television program, Count Gauntley's Horrors from the Public Domain, I make it my mission to resurrect forgotten film classics. I promise to dredge the sewers and ford the stagnant streams of film history to ensure that no film is truly lost to the ages. Count Gauntley and FPA. Keeping cinema alive! Alive! Alive!
Well, even though Joseph's been gone 18 months, we've made the decision to keep all his things as they were when he was here last. I finally just packed his toothbrush away like 6 months ago. It had been sitting on the counter in the bathroom. And I was cleaning the bathroom one day and I just thought, okay, it's time to put the toothbrush in the medicine cabinet.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
This is Richard Dawkins. Doing commercials is unfamiliar territory for me, but I'm inviting you to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, on Fairfax Public Access every Sunday. Each week the hosts tackle wishful thinking, religion, pseudoscience, and the harm they cause, with a combination of facts, humor, and community involvement. They challenge believers to defend their faith and give you, the skeptic, a voice. With live call-ins for viewers and streaming on the World Wide Web, there's never a dull moment. Don't wait, look at them now on Facebook and YouTube, and remember to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, or there'll be hell to pay.
Hell to pay.
One of my proudest moments on this show was actually writing that script for
You
Richard
wrote that
Dawkins.
script for
I
him,
wrote it.
the one that he's reading?
I wrote it, yes.
And how long ago was that? That had to have been like, what, 5 years ago?
4 years. Yeah.
4 years ago? Oh my gosh.
But you know what? I'm very proud of it. One of the things I'm really proud of is when he was here at the station, when we're going by what's called master control, where they have, because there's actually 3 channels on here. There's channel 10, 36, 37, and we're walking by, and there was something playing. It was literally for, maybe it was a vaccination thing, but it wasn't the one we show. And Richard Dawkins was in it. I was like, "Hey, Richard, look, there you are on another channel." He said something like, "Well, isn't that quite amazing?" He's like, I guess they like me here. I said, "Well, we love you here." So the station itself cannot endorse individuals, but I can tell you that everybody was so excited when he came.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was like, yeah, he's probably about one of the most famous people to ever step through the doors here.
How cool is that? And that was the year before I started this show.
That's the year before you
So
started.
thank you.
So, yeah, but, you're welcome. Thank you.
Oh man, no, I remember. I'm just thinking back some of the interviews we've done. It's just great.
Yeah, we've done some doozies, and we're going to recap a bunch of that when we do
Clip
our
show.
actual end of cycle show.
What's the last thing a great TV show does before it goes off the air? It does an awesome clip show, doesn't it?
Show. Yeah.
Doesn't it?
It does.
So that's what you're gonna get.
My idea of
treated
awesome
to.
clips
Oh, for goodness sake.
are what goes in the.
He has
you can't
literally
see
been
them.
sweating off of these for the past 20 minutes.
High capacity magazines for firearms. So, which brings me to my first news story: the church shooting in Texas. So, excuse me, I'm going to cough here, so bear with me. Sorry, couldn't help that. The news is talking about the shooting in Texas.
Which one?
The church shooting.
Oh, which
Yes.
one? It's a joke. I'm sorry, please continue.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. Stop.
Go ahead.
In any case, they're now coming out and saying this guy was an atheist.
Oh, yes. So that means society is crumbling below our very feet.
That's correct. If we just have faith in God, the guy that came down and stopped those bullets in his own church, and people will say, "You're mocking the victims." No, I'm actually not.
No.
I weep for the victims. I weep for his family, and in some sad, pathetic way, I even weep for him for being a messed up, screwed up psycho. But the reality of it is that if you're going to profess that God protects people, and if they pray and prayers work, were these people not praying for their lives? Of course they were. But more importantly is, yes, the guy, and here's the difference. I'm not going to make excuses for this guy. He's a professed atheist, okay.
Right.
I'm not going to say he wasn't a true atheist. Like, you'll find religious people say, well, he wasn't a real Christian. Okay, because you know what? Religious people do this stuff all the time. The guy that went and shot up that synagogue, yeah, he was a Christian. Did it because he hated Jews.
We said it, how many abortion doctors have been shot?
Yes, thank you.
In
the name of religion.
In the name of religion. And the thing about it is, when you're not a major part of society, you know what I mean? The atheists are on the edge of society. Of course, that is the reason why he went on his rampage, not because he had other ideas and issues. That small part of him, because he's an outsider, is going to be boosted up to make all of us look like psychos.
Yeah, I mean, well, and the religious people already want to paint us as angry, hateful people, and that's unfortunate because I don't think that all religious people are. My point is that whether you're an atheist or whether you're religious, it doesn't really make much of a difference in these cases. Say one thing though, and that is that I don't know of any atheist philosophy that says it's okay to murder people in the name of your religion. That's something that belongs exclusively to religion. Now, this individual had very skewed thinking, to be clear. But, I was watching the Joe Rogan show, and they had a really interesting discussion on there that I have not heard. I have not heard it at any form that I can think of. Joe Rogan is a very popular podcaster in the United States. So what they were talking about was, while gun ownership in this country has increased, gun crime and all crime in general has gone down. Yet, these types of shootings have been happening more. But what's particular is you don't see this stuff going on in black neighborhoods. You don't see this stuff going on in Spanish neighborhoods. These mass shootings almost exclusively happen in white middle class neighborhoods. They affect white middle class communities.
So we talked about why we think that might be.
We had some thoughts on that, and I think that it's a group of people that are used to being valued in our society, now feeling that they are being pushed to the fringe of it.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes. Why don't we talk about white on white crime? And that's ironic, but it's also correct, because that's exactly what this is. And that actually is a good point, because we need to blame the guns, or we need to blame the fact that we don't have religion to protect us from this stuff. But let's not actually talk about the underlying social issues, because this didn't happen. This didn't happen.
What do you mean it didn't happen?
This was not a thing that was going on for a long time in the way that it is now. Okay. So what's changed? What's really changed? It's not.
Well, I think some people.
Oh, go ahead.
Some white people think that maybe since we're losing some power, they need to go grasp it before it slips. You're not losing power because other people are getting power. Equality doesn't mean that you're being stomped down. Do you see what I mean? And so they feel like, well, we have to fight back against it.
Well, I mean, I think that I don't disagree with that per se, but I think that's kind of a simplification of it.
I wasn't trying to be philosophizing here.
I think that it's more to do with the grind. It's it's like this daily grind of people that used to live a certain lifestyle. That, like, for instance, one of the things they talked about on Joe Rogan's show.
That's what I just said. Kinda.
But I'm going to go in a little. I'm being a little more nuanced with it.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Well,
please
I think
continue.
it's the nuance that helps.
But I'm going to tell you the truth.
One of the things that they're talking about on Joe Rogan's show is you don't see, despite you hear about black on black violence or whatever, but you don't see these types of mass shootings in the black community.
No. And first of all, there's no such thing as blank on blank crime, because you do your crime in wherever your neighborhood is.
Right, exactly.
These people just happen to be here.
But my point being is that people in the poorer communities, whether they're poor white, poor black, poor whatever, they've already learned to adapt and survive in a world that does not value them.
Pretty much.
And the problem is the middle class in this country continues to evaporate. And people, that are used to have a job, used to have insurance, used to have some type of security, they watch their parents lose this stuff. They feel like they're in a world where everything is falling apart and decomposing around them, because it is. And they don't have the social skills. So they get very angry. And there's this guy out there, and this is amazing, because rarely do you actually get somebody who puts down their philosophy in video format. He was stopped before he went on a mass shooting spree. I'd have to look up, it's like Kenneth David something or other is his name.
Nope.
But if you Google King David on YouTube, there's this guy, he looks like Pennywise the Clown without makeup. I swear to you, that's what he looks like. And he is in a bathtub. He's done several videos, and he is just ranting about, like, he's going to go on a shooting spree. And he's like, he goes, why would I just commit suicide? Why would society has failed? Why would I just kill myself and let you people ruin me, and then you not have to pay a consequence for it? He goes, I'm not going to kill myself like good old dad did. I'm gonna kill as many people as I can.
You think that's what's causing it? Because he feels like
it's an alienation. It's a distant, and that's the thing. If you were brought up in a world that didn't care about you, you have those social skills to learn and adapt. That's how you're brought up.
Yeah.
If you come from a community where you're told you're supposed to have value, this is the type of value you're supposed to have as a person, and you can't get it, or it's been taken away from you,
or you can't handle not being in that position,
or you can't handle it. Well, and that's the thing. They can't handle it. They don't have the ability to adapt. So now they're angry at the world, and they're going to, but see, this is the thing. It's like they're wrong in shooting people, but they're not wrong in the fact that our country continues to devalue people. The problem is whole new classes of people are now experiencing what other portions of our population have been dealing with for centuries.
And that's why I'm like, hey, come on over to our side.
Come on over, baby. We got room for you.
We've got room for you.
We got room for you.
It's an anger issue. Like I said, people who've had a value in our society feel like they're losing it, and then they're lashing out.
Yep.
Period.
Period.
And we also can't. There's lots of domestic violence stuff in there too.
Yeah, well, the domestic violence stuff is all over the place. The domestic violence stuff.
But, this is coming out. You know who isn't doing mass shooting? Women.
No, they're just the ones driving all the men to do it.
It's men, they're dangerous. I'm just kidding.
It's your fault.
It is my fault.
Y'all drive us crazy.
This is what they say. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry, go on. Continue.
So I just thought it was really a positive thing to see somebody not discussing politics as usual with this. Because the thing is becoming everything in our country is becoming hyperbolic.
Of course. That's the only way to keep people's attention nowadays, is to be as perfectly hyperbolic as possible. Nobody does subtlety anymore.
No, they don't. You mean they don't do nuances?
No. Oh my gosh. No, nobody does subtlety and nobody does nuance.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about now as we're bringing up the word hyperbolic is some of the attitudes that are going on around some of these sexual harassment complaints. Now,
Oh boy.
yeah, boy, we're going to open up a can of worms. People are going to hate me. They're going to get all hyperbolic on me because they ain't going to agree with me. They're going to trash me. So I just cannot help the hypocrisy of people who are calling for, people like Roy Moore, who I think is a despicable human being, and I will get into why. They want him to resign because of accusations against him.
He was pretty gross before all this.
He was way gross before all of this.
Yeah.
But they were like, hey, he needs to resign. But then we got people like Al Franken, who is on camera doing this to a woman and going, like making funny faces, right? Okay, that's okay. Well, actually, it's not okay.
Nobody says it's okay.
They didn't say it's okay.
Nobody
We're
says
going to
it's
hold
okay.
an investigation that typically takes a year or more, and we'll get back to you. But for Roy Moore, he needs to step aside. Okay, well, the difference here is that a lot of the stuff with Roy Moore is not panning out. And I
haven't been reading because he grosses me out.
So one of the things he was accused of was harassing girls at a shopping mall.
Sorry.
And
Our
they
producer-
actually have tracked down the
Yeah.
manager of the shopping mall who said there are no records of it. So this, according to him, never happened. And so the press just comes up with the story that he was banned from a shopping mall.
I think it's not easy for the press to just come up with
somebody
a story.
did a little research, and they have. I'm not saying he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that the people who are running the mall have denied having any information of this.
First of all, you find me something creepier than an Alabama shopping mall. We have a day to plan.
I don't know, man. That's just God. That gave me a headache thinking about it. So the other thing they're saying is that he wrote in some girl's yearbook as if that itself is proof of something, but what's really important is now they have asked for the book to be turned over to a third party who they can have handwriting samples. And
No, Brian, he wasn't a teacher.
they wanted to do handwriting samples, and they will now not turn this book over to have a third party independent group to do handwriting samples. So what I'm driving at is, until somebody can validate these things, they're simply allegations.
Now, if I were Twitter, I'd be like, Paul's defending Roy
I'm
Moore.
defending Roy. And you know what? What I'm defending is this thing called due process.
Yes.
I'm
doesn't
also
happen anymore
defending.
in this country.
I'm also defending this thing where I want concrete evidence, not actual. I don't want aspersions. Okay. First of all, these types of tools can also be used against people that I support. So it's just like, it's all fine when it's someone you don't like. Now, do I think Franken should resign? This is where you start getting into the complexity of these things.
Yes.
One person will say, well, maybe this woman should have made an issue at the time. There's all these subtleties. There's all of these nuances, if you will. I think that every person who feels that they're legitimately a victim has a right to file a civil suit, file police reports, but I don't believe that society should whip up anger on Twitter accounts, because...
But that's what it is now.
But that's what it is now.
That's what it is now.
But I do, so when we talk about hyperbolic issues, the thing we all need to remember is that that what you support today without evidence can be used against you tomorrow without evidence.
Ooh, deep.
And so, it's like, we do need to be diligent about following through with these things actually happen. And what I want to talk about is some of the things Roy Moore has actually done.
Now this is what I've been waiting for. Because people are just now hearing about Roy Moore because of his alleged habit of talking to young Alabama girls in Alabama shopping mall. But no, he was pretty gross even before this. We're talking about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, starting around 2005.
Paul?
Go ahead.
No, read the first one. Go ahead.
So Roy Moore, Alabama Moore, got himself in trouble. And if anyone who pays attention to Alabama knows, and I don't like to use rhetoric or stereotypes, but I think that I could back up what I'm about to say. Alabama is one of the more backward states in the country.
Definitely. They're not watching us. You can say it.
They're not watching us.
They're not watching us. You can say it.
They might wind up burning us an effigy.
Yeah. But no, it's also one of the most religious.
It's one of those religious places in the nation. Mm-hmm. Their Supreme Court in their state stripped Roy Moore of his judgeship when he was on the bench because he refused to remove the 10 Commandments from the courthouse in accordance with federal rulings. Mm-hmm. And they went on to say...
That was when I first heard about
that this guy was blatantly violating the law. Yeah. So for a religious backwater like Alabama to have their Supreme Court unanimously strip him of this is something that I think speaks volumes to where this guy is. And I would like to read a couple things here, but I also want to talk about the fact that he was later, I believe this was in 2012, he was also stripped a second time of his judgeship. Because the first time I think they stripped him, or they removed him from the bench because he was elected. The second time he got reelected, he went off.
I remember that.
Yeah, he went and was refusing to acknowledge same-sex law, and was effectively barred this time from holding a seat in the
so what's next?
Judiciary.
1%.
So here's what the Alabama Judicial Inquiry Commission found in regards to Judge Roy Moore when they suspended him. That he had disregarded a federal injunction,
ignored the law, basically,
demonstrated an unwillingness to follow clear law,
didn't want to follow the law, basically,
abused his administrative authority,
not a surprise,
substituting his judgment for the judgment of the entire Alabama Supreme Court,
no
including
delusions.
failure to abstain from public comment about a pending proceeding in his own courts.
No delusions of grandeur.
Well, and you're not supposed to prejudice a jury as to what you, the judge, think. They're supposed to be able to make this up without undue influence. You're allowed to, as a judge, to guide them as to what the law says, but you're not supposed to push your opinion on the jury.
Right.
Interference with a legal process and remedies in the United States District Court and or Alabama Supreme Court related to proceedings in which the Alabama probate judges were involved. Now,
yeah, I don't get that one. You're going to have to break that one down.
If you or I interfere with a legal process, we could be charged criminally with intimidation, undue influence. This guy should have been charged with a crime. That's you don't interfere with the legal processes in our courts.
Right.
That's a criminal act.
So what made him think he could do it?
Well, God has told him to.
I'm pretty sure that's what he thought. He's an extremely religious person. And when there's one more, go ahead, read it.
Failure to recuse himself from pending proceedings in the Alabama Supreme Court after making public comment and placing his impartiality into question. Now, that's not a crime, but that is a serious infraction as a judge.
If you're a judge.
This is not a person who's fit to be a judge. By every account.
But why did he keep getting reelected?
Well, because Jesus wants him to be. Jesus wants him to be, lead the country. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about that make this guy a horrible human being, in my opinion, Okay. Well, again, I don't like to use horrible.
No,
There's some people who have horrible
I do.
positions. Their heart might be in the wrong place, but their mind is like completely out there in outer space. But one of the things that you hear stories about people who get donations from organizations that are questionable. Now, he received one of his campaign elections. He received $1 million from an organization that was. Some people are labeling it neo-Nazi. The problem I have is everything is labeled neo-Nazi these days. But when you look at their track record, they are extremely right-wing. They have a lot of racist agendas in them.
Are black people good or bad? Just answer me that one.
It's hard to say.
These people,
it's hard to say.
Oh, they don't even have.
Well, it's like when Roy Moore just recently said we got to get the whites, the blacks, and the yellows together. I mean...
He said yellows. Oh, my God.
So, do you say he's good or bad? Now, on one hand...
Yellows.
Well, on one hand, if you're going to have a problem with the word yellow, you should have a problem with the word black and white. So, on the other hand, does this make him a racist or does this make him racially insensitive? And to me, there is a difference.
Yeah.
Because a racist would say Asians are subhuman.
Right.
Someone who's racially insensitive, who is speaking about unity, saying blacks, whites, and yellows need to get together, is somebody who's calling for unity, but is insensitive or ignorant about the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
However, Judge Moore took $1 million from an organization who has a history of going beyond that type of misunderstanding in language. And the typical right thing to do is to either give the money back or to donate it to a charity. If someone hates black people, you give the money to the NAACP or something like that. Whatever.
Give it to me.
Or whatever. So he kept the money.
Of course he did.
And he didn't even comment. He didn't even bother to say no comment. He just never addressed the issue. So,
Roy doesn't care. I mean, everything goes his way, and it's going to be that way forever. Did somebody forget to turn his phone off?
That was me. Turning my speaker on. So, I just have to say that Judge Roy Moore's history is one that is pretty sad. And so when I see people, they get into these firestorms, and they're like, oh, we can't get this guy. You can't let him become a senator because of this. And
There's plenty of reasons not to let him become a senator.
Right.
But do they care about it in Alabama? No.
Well, the polls are now showing he's behind. But what I'm concerned about is he's behind for the wrong reasons. Because this is where, let's say that he comes out tomorrow and he's vindicated on a lot of this stuff. I think in the end, we will probably find there is some truth to some of it. But let's say he is vindicated. What a lot of the right wing will do is they'll go, you remember that thing about the shopping mall? It was all made up. And it very well may be. And that's the part they're going to remember.
They'll feel vindicated.
They'll feel vindicated. And what we need to do, anytime, whether it's a person in the left or in the right, we need to fight the bad decisions that person has made with facts and evidence.
Right.
And there's just way too much hyperbolic anger going on right now. Someone that had been on our show before, who I considered a good friend, defriended me, blocked me, and all this other stuff because he was making certain comments about people who were supporters of the NRA. And I said, I think that's really wrong and disrespectful. And I said, now I guess I can expect you to block me. And his response was to go F myself.
Right,
and then he blocked me.
Was it me? I'm just kidding.
No. But my point being is that is the way people are communicating. That is the level of energy that people who are friends are becoming enemies over crap that's on social media.
Right. And the Twitter and things like that just makes it easier for people to show who they truly are.
I don't know because you don't normally say things to people's face.
Exactly.
That you would say on
hide
Twitter.
Behind that anonymity that gives it to you.
Right, but that isn't necessarily who you are then. That's who you are in that format. But what I'm concerned about is that if things keep going the way they're going, this isn't going to turn into a Twitter war. It's going to turn into real violent conflict. And people are going to be killing each other over crap that isn't really issues to begin with or shouldn't be issues.
Kill you, Paul.
I don't want to kill you either, Tiffany.
Thank you. When the Civil War starts, I'm going to go to you, and you know why.
Because I'm big and fat and you can hide behind me?
Yes, pretty much. But everyone, I mean, once that medium to get out there and speak with total anonymity and almost no restraint,
Look,
everyone goes crazy,
I
and
think
that's what it is. People love to call each other out, point out each other's mistakes, you know what I mean?
Or what they perceive as a mistake.
Or what they perceive as a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you say something that I just am disgusted, I've been guilty of this too, something I'm disgusted with, right? Or I don't like, or I think it's just horribly wrong. I can say horrible things to you on the internet, but it's hard to look you in the face and see pain that I'm inflicting on you.
Would you?
Or, you know, now you know why we're ending this show, because of the crap I got to put up with. But the thing is that human beings have been communicating in this way for, as long as we've been around. And social media, we all thought it was going to free us because we can communicate. Well, what are we communicating? We're communicating half-truths, anger, frustration, disinformation. What we found is that a lot of times we don't actually reach broader audiences. We wind up becoming insular.
I saw a thing, sorry to cut you off, but they showed this graph of people's different political ideas and who they followed and who followed them. And you could clearly see the two bubbles. Like, people on one side rarely ever follow people on the other side. Yeah. People on the other side rarely follow people on this side. And so it's like you think you're spreading out, but you're actually just staying in your own circle. Yeah. And it's interesting.
It is interesting.
But it isn't helping you learn what's on the other side.
Brian's sharing more of his wisdom. You will not get me to follow fascists.
I don't want to follow fascists either. See, that's the thing.
That's me. That's fine. But the problem I'm having is how quickly we label people who are as fascists that don't agree with us these days.
Or hippies, or weirdos, or
hippies.
Vegans.
The problem with hippies is they do smell and they get haircuts. So.
No. I mean, in your own insular circle, I don't want to hear another person's opinion if it doesn't match mine. We don't want that.
So, so when we come back to the Al Franken thing, I don't like Al Franken. I really don't.
He's cool with me. I've got all his
I
books.
don't want Al Franken to have to resign over this. Roy Moore, if it turns out
What's the end
to
game?
be true, I think he, especially because of the age of the girls that were involved, I think that's a different story.
Pretty gross.
But what are you going to do? And
did you hear about the guy who compared him to Jesus?
What?
He compared Roy Moore to Jesus. He said, he said that, Mary was a teenager and Joseph was an adult and they had Jesus.
Yeah, that's not how he doesn't even know his own Bible, which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because Joseph wasn't Jesus' father. Joseph was his stepdaddy. Someone actually said that.
And Mary was a virgin.
Mary was a virgin, yeah.
Okay, well, this is the type of mindset that allows, so we're also saying like how people attack other people.
Right.
Okay. Well, there's also, anyone can be excused. Like I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be very unpopular. I genuinely believe Hillary Clinton could murder a baby live on stage, and half of her supporters would deny she did it, and the other half would say she was justified in doing it. Okay.
Yeah, you are unpopular for that.
Yeah, and the same could be true of Trump.
Well, he said it. He said I could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone, and people would still vote for me.
I
don't think.
And to be fair, I have a feeling that is exactly the attitude that both camps in this country have right now. I mean, it's one of those things where people are literally so vested in their own internal beliefs that they're not willing to step outside of themselves and look at a bigger picture.
I'm on this show.
Yeah, well, you know what? I stand corrected.
See? So. No, I mean, you can't. I put it this way: there's so much to learn in this world before you just stay in your own bubble.
Well, the thing I get, Tiffany, is
you gotta.
Whether someone is a country bumpkin,
like you,
or whether, thank you,
or a city girl like me,
or a city girl like you. The things that drive us are often the same.
Are we in our own bubble, Paul? Even though
family,
community,
doing right by other people, working hard, having some type of stability in our lives. and we're willing to like go after people because of the things that we go after. I mean, you can be pro-choice or anti-pro-choice as a personal opinion, but when you start trying to like attack other people for having the opposite point of view, you start trying to impose your lifestyle on other people. These are where I really get concerned.
Yeah.
So yes, I and that is something I'm very proud of on this show. Yes, we have not always reached the viewership of channels out there where they do like jump on people that don't agree with them and mock them and ridicule them. We've always been a safe place where, and I hate to use that word safe place, but we've been a
You already
safe place.
used it. Now I've heard you say it.
Where we've had conservatives on this show.
Now it's on tape.
We've had liberals on this show.
Remember we had that one guy who was the street preacher on the show?
Street preacher
that
on
was
the
hilarious.
show.
We had a street preacher on the show.
We've had atheists who are diehard Republicans. We've covered CPAC.
I love CPAC.
So
for the wrong reasons.
well,
though, not
right,
for why you
but
think.
again,
I still go every year.
Right, and you get to engage people, and you're not threatening to beat them up or burn their car, or whatever. I mean,
burning me
well, they haven't done it
yet.
Well, my point is that you get to put a little bit of a human face on one another. We get to all remind each other that whether we like it or not, we're all on this big blue, rapidly turning green, orangish brown planet, and we got to get along with one another.
Yeah.
And
we're all over the place today.
There are some things, though.
Like what?
Where I do have to draw the line. Fox News is very upset because bird brain atheists like us are suing an animal shelter. Do you want to know what we're suing the animal shelter over?
Let me be the other side. Why are the bird brain atheists suing the animal shelter, Paul?
American Atheists has filed a lawsuit in federal court against Bergen County Animal Shelter, claiming that they had a Franciscan bishop conduct a mass blessing of animals during a ceremony.
They taste better that way.
That's what I heard. Yes. It's kind of ritualistic.
Right.
It's Wicker Man style. According to the lawsuit, Candace Jacoby, I guess is how you say her name, dropped by the shelter. Jacoby, I'm sorry. Jacoby, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Mike
please.
Huckabee, whatever. She was looking for a
Chihuahua,
and I called that a chinchilla earlier, which I think would be a much cooler pet.
Yeah, it's softer.
Softer, yes, absolutely. And if you ever got tired of it, you turn it into a nice coat.
A chinchilla's only that big. You're probably going to get a bow tie out of that thing.
Yeah, hey, a chinchilla bow tie will work. But then again, so would a chihuahua bow tie.
That's true. Please continue.
Instead, she stumbled upon the animal blessing ceremony and the bishop dressed in full religious vestments. American Atheists described the event as a ritual performed by Franciscan clergy annually on October 4th in honor of the Catholic Saint Francis of Assisi. The atheists may not be aware, but many Protestant denominations host animal blessing ceremonies too, from the potbelly pigs to exotic birds. My denomination, Southern Baptist, normally blesses our animals after they're slathered in barbecue sauce.
And you know what? That's not even hyperbole. That's probably true.
That is probably true. The claim the animal shelter violated the Establishment Clause because the First Amendment by forcing religious viewpoints on people like their client. Religion is a suspect class. This is a quotation from the lawsuit. Religion is a suspect class, and governmental policies which classify individuals based on their religion are subject to strict scrutiny. Now, this reporter's response is, religion is a suspect class, ? Now, wait just a doggone minute.
I get it.
Get it? Doggone minute. You funny.
So they got a First of all, I didn't know there were Franciscans still around.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, this story kind of goes on, but, this is one of those things we ask, why is this a big deal? Like, but more importantly is, why are people in there blessing dogs? No one knows this is going on, so what is it? Well, what's driving this? What do you think it is?
I think they bless dogs because they think they're doing something good. They think because when it all comes down to it, at the end of the day, they want what's best for the animals. that's fine. Because I want what's best for the animals, right? They think that blessing the animals is what's best for them. It's silly, but at least they think they're doing good. Yeah. It's kind of hard to determine. Just because you think you're doing good and you're doing something silly, is it even worth it to finish? You know what I mean? Paul?
I don't think that I actually think what you're describing is when they say the ends justifies the means.
Yeah.
You're at the justification part.
Yeah.
I think that what is actually going on is that these people are desperate to infect every nugget, cranny, corner.
Because they think that's what's necessary.
That's what's necessary.
Yeah.
That it's just, well, we do it at the animal shelter, we do it at the YMCA, we do it at our kids' school, we do it at the local barbecue, we do it as we're driving down the road, we do it at the DMV, we do it at the polling station. It's like, doesn't everybody know everything is all religious all the time? It's because God is real. If God wasn't real, He wouldn't be permeating every bit of our society.
Yep.
Well, they're not trying to normalize it. And yes, they wouldn't be doing it if they thought it was a bad thing. They're doing it because they think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's not a good thing for people who don't share that religious point of view.
Yeah.
And
silly though.
And they're doing it with tax dollars.
Oh, see, now that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a county-run animal shelter, and it's being done in front of people that are, it's not a denominational, it's an animal shelter. It's not a Pentecostal animal shelter or Southern Baptist where they slather it with barbecue sauce.
Oh my God.
This is a public facility. And
how long has this been going on, did they say?
Well, and they said that it was going on, he was like, it's going on for the last 2 years with no problems. I'm like, well, who the hell would know about it? I don't know about you, but I don't really go to animal shelters unless I'm trying to pick up an animal, and it's like one day out of the year. It's not like, hey, dude, you know what? They're going to have a blessing at the annual blessing. We got to get down there because that's like the event
of the century. So wait a minute, you go to the animal shelter once a year? Why?
Well, barbecue season, man.
I knew you were going to say that. Damn it, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, barbecue. Gotta have me some barbecue.
Oh my gosh. But
the fat old putty cat.
But one thing though, if it were a private shelter, nobody would care because you do what you want in your own private shelter.
Yeah.
But if you're a taxpayer, somebody's got to pay that Franciscan monk priest's salary, whatever. Right. And it's just a little odd.
Well, and the fact, again, it gives the sense that that shelter supports a particular religious position.
So what if like an Islamic imam came in and blessed the other animal?
Oh, they'd be flipping out.
Oh, of course.
And then
you can't have it one way or the other. You can't have both ways.
Well, then you start getting into the stuff where, like, you've undone our Christian invocation, and with your evil ways, and now we got to come back in and re-bless the animals. And you think I'm joking, but there was a case recently, this is in the last year, where there was a county where they were forced by law to let the Church of Satan come in and do an invocation.
Oh well.
And the guy gets up and he puts his head on. He's like, "Red rum, hockey bomb, sucky boss." Hail Satan, and like the people are pissed, like the county people are angry, but they didn't have a choice, right? And then one of the guys says something like, "We're going to have to say like 1,000 Hail Marys to clean that evil out of here." It's like,
oh my gosh,
it's kind of like it's like it reminds me of a South Park episode where they're like, they're like, our mental powers can beat your mental powers. Hey, Tiffany.
No, I'm getting you.
Come on, you got to fight me. No, my powers are better than yours. This is what's going on. So, and then there's this poor dog sitting there licking its paws.
Dogs don't lick their paws like that's cats.
Well, dogs lick something else, but we're on public access television, and I have to behave myself. Now, when we go over to the Google Hangouts, it's a different story.
He's gonna do it right there on the camera.
I can't, man. I got a bad back.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Poor Paul. But no, it is funny. It's every time I think about when you hear, there's the Satanists are doing their invocation. You know what the Satanists are trying to do is show you how silly it all is.
Maybe, or they're serious.
I don't think they're serious.
Some of them are.
Some of them are. It's still silly though.
Yeah, you see the Satanists fighting the Church of Satan. Those the American Satanists. You don't really believe in Satan. You're just doing this as a public. We can't even get away from it there, man.
Well, you know, the number one thing that would get rid of all of this, if we could just leave it all out of public life, out of government, out of whatever is being shared by all of us. You can do whatever you like in your own private community, home, commune, dungeon.
Well, you know, it's funny because we only got a few minutes left, but I mean, we live in a country where the majority of the population is religious. Churches have a tax status here. They have rights here that no one else has anywhere in the world. And they claim they're persecuted because we say we don't want you pushing your religious beliefs on us through our government entities. And it's like we see them trying to come into schools and do these like good luck clubs or good news clubs or whatever these are after hours. It's like, you know, you can't use. And now they're coming up with this garbage where they go, oh well, you know, yeah, you can use public facilities to push your religious beliefs. You just have to let all religious beliefs in. Well, that's really not what the law says. But then, you know, people are like, okay, well, you know, see, this is the thing.
There's got to be some
It's not actually still a fair playing field.
No.
Because if you live in a community that's 75% Baptist, and you say, well, we're going to give, you know, the Church of Satan its 1% or, you know, 0.01% representation, you know,
like one dude.
It'll be one dude. You still live in you know, you still go to the DMV and they look down at you because, you know, you don't share the same religious views as they do. It really should be a case where we just don't allow religion at all in our public facilities.
Like I said, do it. And then there's got to be someone who sits around and makes sure they know exactly how to skirt around the law to get it done.
Exactly.
You know, you just come up with the right words and the right phrases. You can get whatever you want done at any time.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's all throughout human history, we have had compartmentalization separating religion from government. Yes, there's also, you know, you take the Roman Empire, yes, they would have their gods, the priests come out and bless their armies and stuff, but like priests were not allowed inside the Senate chambers.
Right.
You know, so there was, you know, there was, you know, I think there may have been some like exceptions where they come to bless the Senate on a particular day, but they were not allowed to be present during normal voting and stuff like that, because they didn't want you know, I'm sure they did influence behind the scenes, but they didn't want the appearance of influencing.
Okay. So we're about to wrap up here.
Are
we going to be here next week?
Yes, we will. And I believe we're going to have an interview next week. I can't remember for the life of me. I'm not calling Rob right now just because, you know, to get that detail, but, you know, because of what he's going through. But stay tuned. We're going to really try to lighten up these last few episodes. I think, you know, it's like everything else when people, you know that they're about to get fired from a job. They just don't give a crap anymore. So
this is going to be crazy, everybody. Look forward to it.
Look forward to it. And with about 30 seconds left, I'm going to cry on the last show. I'm going to weep. I'm going to break.
This is not the last show, though. Don't cry yet.
No, on the last one.
Oh.
I will.
Nah.
I'm not really crying right now. Or am I? Inside.
Oh, my God. Say your name so that we can go.
Oh, look. See? The technical director was smart. He cut us off.